Hi, everybody. Welcome to Kaiju and Coffee. I'm Travis. This is Nick. Today we're going to be talking about Godzilla 1985. So we were talking recently, and this guy says, you know what I want to watch again? Godzilla 1985. And I was like, are you serious? Because I was about to tell him that, like, not that second, but like
you read my mind.
I really was like, okay, there's a kaiju film we're going to need a review coming up, which one we've seen in a while. I haven't seen this in 20 years. Like, for real. Like,
it's been a good 10 years.
You said 10
yeah.
for you. So, man, we really came out of the time machine on this one. Holy shit.
And we're kind of going to jump around, so
oh, yeah.
We're not going to, just keep it fun.
So this is Godzilla 1985.
Yeah.
And we actually started watching the wrong one because the Japanese version, there's two versions of this, and The Return of Godzilla, it's a little different. And we just fired it up on a stream, and he spotted it. I was just like, da-da-da-da-da, whatever. But apparently a little bit of a different intro on those, so we shut it off, fired up.
But the old VHS.
This is not a picture that's been photoshopped. That is an actual VHS tape that we just watched in a VCR that did not explode or break or anything. It worked, and it was a trip, man. Mm-hmm. It really was. It was a trip down memory lane to watch that.
Yeah, it's one of the better ones, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not as far as action, but as far as seriousness and tone, I think it's one of the better ones.
It was pretty poorly reviewed at the time.
Yeah.
It was not well received by critics, but I mean, it's a giant monster movie. What are you supposed to do? Nominated for a couple Razzies, but I don't take Razzie seriously after The Thing, like one of the greatest horror films of all time. They're like OPU, The Thing. It's terrible. Like, oh, okay, so actually you don't know anything about what I'm talking about. But I mean, it's not the best ever. It's not the worst ever. It's got this hard 80s edge to it. You can tell that like slasher films have been coming out for a few years at this point. Your Halloween, your Texas Chainsaw, Nightmare, stuff like that. Friday the 13th. And so one of the biggest jarring things to me and that stuck out in my memory too was the bodies. You actually saw people die. And the result of that.
Yeah, the bodies on the boat.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Because it starts out with, you guessed it, a fishing boat.
Yeah.
And so they come too close to some cursed island or whatever where Godzilla wakes up. Is he struck by lightning or something?
I don't know.
The lightning comes up a couple times, and I think maybe that is what happens. But he gets up and does his thing or whatever. But so this reporter finds the boat, and he finds a bunch of dead people in it. And it's one of the kaiju films that I dig. It's got like creatures in it that aren't giant. They're big and scary and creepy, but they're not huge. Like Rodan had them. They're just like wrecking right through rice paper walls. Yeah. These big ugly things, man.
It reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah?
Yeah. But I guess those creatures are based on sea louse.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I just thought they were, made up. But it turns out they're based in some kind of
and
reality.
They're pretty creepy. He was pulling up pictures, and I was like, you know what? I was fine with not ever seeing that.
Yeah.
But okay, thanks. I don't know, man. He even pointed out that the Super X looked like a sea louse. Yeah. But we have to point out what the Super X is. Like you said, we're jumping all over here. You said this is a recurring thing in the Godzilla films.
In the Heisei series.
I've seen it. I didn't know like how much of a thing it was.
It started with this one, and it went all the way until I think Godzilla vs. Destroyer.
Right.
In 95.
And it got bigger and better.
Yeah. At one point, I think it joins with Mechagodzilla.
Well, of course it does. Maybe it went to live in Mechagodzilla City.
Yeah.
That's what they needed to do. They needed to shoot Godzilla in the mouth with cadmium missiles. This thing is all over the place, man. I'm not even kidding. They apparently kill him, early on, of course, but they don't really. They shoot him in the mouth, and he's like, you shoot me in the mouth.
Falls over like a drunk.
You're cheating. That's what they should have done in the anime. Yeah, and he just slumps against a building like, he's definitely dead.
No.
I believe it 40 minutes in. But yeah, so the Super X was great. A lot of blood in this one. Like we said, a lot of dead bodies. And so it really stands out. It stood out in my memory because of that.
It seems like, because it's, with the overall tone, it doesn't feel like one of the earlier Godzilla films. So it feels like it should have been longer to me, especially watching it as an adult, seeing more serious films. It feels like it should have been longer.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about watching it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that too. Because after the Super X shit, you're like, okay, now what? And oh wait, that's it. It's over. It really is pretty much over. They lure him. They do it's one of those earlier science fiction films where they start talking about the connection between birds and lizards.
And dinosaurs.
Godzilla, as you can see, is a big-ass bird. Yeah. So they lure him to, well, spoilers alert. We should put that at the beginning of the video. We always forget. Sorry, everybody.
Well, I mentioned it near the end. The spoilers.
They throw his ass into a volcano.
Lured him into a volcano.
Yeah, with birds, sounds.
It kind of makes him look stupid. But I mean, in some of these ones, like especially the very first one and this one, he's more just like a force of nature.
Right.
It's not like in the ones where he's battling other monsters and he's doing drop kicks and stuff like that.
But he did do something in here.
Yeah, he did.
What did he do?
Well, the Super X was on the ground, I believe, at that point. He just knocks over a building, shoulders it right onto it, and destroys it. And then I think we have a close-up of him, just going like,
well,
I did that.
Well, the take of it, he's just like deadpan stare. It's like something you'd see like a cartoon dog do or something. So yeah, there's a little inconsistencies of the character there, but they overrode his whatever, his instinct.
And we should mention too, it's a direct sequel to the original.
Yeah, we were gonna have to get there eventually. One of probably many that is like, you know what, fuck all those other ones. They're only the original exists. At one point, there's these parts of this film that this is a Japanese American co-production, and by co-production I do mean co-production, as in we're in Tokyo, we're in LA, and then we're going to cobble these two reels together and make a film.
We should mention too that I don't think neither one of us have seen the Japanese version. So
yeah,
yet we will.
As I said, we accidentally started watching it and decided on the spot that we're going to have to watch it because there's a lot of differences between them, and the quality looked a little better than VHS, I got to say. What was I saying?
The quality of the VHS?
Yeah, before that.
Japanese version?
Yeah. I mean, they do, I think, I got the impression that the Japanese were, the scenes were shot first, and so then the Americans did their shoots, and they're like goofing off, and it's the comedy relief of
all the
film.
comedy of the film comes from the American footage.
Yeah, they're goofing up a little bit with it. Oh, and I guess I should have started off the review like we talked about. I was supposed to say Godzilla 1985 brought to you by Dr. Pepper, because there is some pretty obtuse interjections of Dr. Pepper into the film.
The ad placement is just like right in the middle of the shots.
Yeah, right in, like there's like, I think maybe was there a tension reliever, and he's like, got to hit my Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
But a lot of these scenes that we're talking about, the American scenes, they're goofy and they're dumb, but they are also dominated by Raymond Burr, who is actually who's supposed to be in this film. Oh, I guess it's kind of like the original too.
I don't know if he's in the Japanese version because we haven't seen it.
We'll have to watch that one. But I was just joking about how he's shoehorned into all the scenes of the original, and how he's just never standing next to any of the main characters, and he's always on the phone with them. So he has this commanding presence, this booming voice, and very stern, stoic. Upright, very stoic. What a beard on this man!
Yeah,
holy shit! I wouldn't want to say anything to him except agree wholeheartedly, because of the beard. And he comes into the war room, the American war room. They're like, "Who is this guy?" And he's like, "Oh, this is the guy you told me to get." Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. They do all that stuff. They introduce him having what we have to assume is like flashbacks to the incident in the 50s with Godzilla, because he has this far off stare, the 1,000-yard stare going, and they always
his grandson's playing with a toy.
Godzilla toy. And whenever it's like an important scene with him, there's this reed playing that gets really obstructive, and I'm like, turn down the reed, turn down the reed. I can't hear the dialogue, and it's not. It doesn't fit. This isn't Karate Kid.
And Raymond Burr's voice is so low and bassy that with the reed going in his voice at the same time, it's kind of hard to hear him.
Booming, commanding presence of Raymond Burr. So I'd say he's one of the high points of it.
Definitely.
I was looking for the Ghostbusters logo that I'm told is in it. I didn't see it, but once he got to Tokyo, I forgot and was just watching it.
It could have been harder to notice too because the VHS version's pretty grainy.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, they had its, VHS has its drawbacks.
Yeah.
I'm actually working on a top 10 video of matte paintings. What matte paintings are, that's when you, if it's either cheaper or easier to do a fake background, a composite, or just act in front of. And so somebody has to like paint it physically. And so I'm pretty sure there was a couple in this one. It's common from this time period, just as long as you have the budget for it, because you got to pay somebody to do it. And I'm pretty sure I saw a couple, like Earth is a common one, because, they can't go up to fucking space and shoot in space yet. Yeah, it was cool. I dug it. It was good background for what I'm working on for that. Some military stock footage. I know if Michael was here, he'd talk about the military propaganda angle.
Yeah, it's during the height of the Cold War too, at least the end of it anyway, near the end of it.
Yeah, there's certainly some Cold War tensions going on because the sweaty man. There's a very sweaty, bald man that.
The Russian.
He fires a nuke, I guess, because he thought that was a good idea. And so then they have to send a nuke to meet the nuke, and then they have space nuke sex. And it's like this orange, horrible red sky over Tokyo.
Which looks very good.
Yeah, we talked about how this film benefits from color. And towards the end, shit goes down. Mm-hmm. People are bleeding. People are burning. Fires raging everywhere. We saw somebody fully engulfed.
A soldier.
They obviously had him in a fire suit. Yeah. But yeah, well, hopefully they had him in a fire suit.
I hope so, man.
But yeah, no, it was really cool. And you pointed out how the color worked really well, and you said you really liked that ending scene because we already talked about how he fell into a volcano. Yeah. That's going to be very orange-red.
It looks very good. Like you said it's most likely a miniature.
Yeah. We're not sure. This might be maybe the first one with, what is it, robotics?
Animatronics.
Yeah. Okay. Because, you can tell sometimes, like, they have an animated face opening that can, like, pull his lips and sneer, a stiff upper lip and all that. So yeah.
This is also, we should mention, the first Godzilla film in, I believe, like 10 years that they made. So
yeah.
There was a demand for it at that point.
Yeah, they found that there was a demand. What was it going to go away?
No.
They were going to be happy with it, and he got bigger. Mm-hmm. But what did you expect? Did you think he would get smaller?
As time went on, the buildings in Tokyo got bigger, so they had to beef him up by 30 meters, I think it was.
Sequels got to be bigger. Yeah, they always got to be bigger. So, but yeah, his size kind of fluctuates because they do quite a few different techniques. And then they just, chuck a little toy into the fire there at the end.
I think the shots where, like, they're behind a person that's right in front of them, and they look up. The shots are supposed to make them look bigger, but they actually make them look smaller because it seems like it's not that far up. The camera goes and he's right at his face.
You wouldn't be able to get a person in the shot with him. So maybe that's why they hide a Godzilla in the new Godzilla. It's like, we just can't show him. He's so big. But yeah, we actually got to see a Godzilla POV shot of him creeping up on a nuclear a nuclear fission reactor like he's fucking Michael Myers out in the bushes. Like, I just took out the dog. Now I'm coming to get you, Laurie Strode. But no, I really dug a lot of those influences. It was really cool. That's a type of shot they couldn't get earlier in the day, and now they have the budget for that type of thing. Of course, they threw some planes at him. They always like to do that. obligatory plane shot.
The lasers and the missiles and all that.
There were quite a few lasers, and
Yeah.
this guy's like, they have laser trucks shooting at him. He's like,
they're in all the old Godzilla films.
he's asking if they're real. I should have been like, oh yeah, no, they're totally real. Like, you didn't see them.
But you think they'd be based in some kind of a reality? Cause
they look cool.
Yeah, they look cool.
Like, oh, it didn't work on Megalon. Too bad. We'll have to get to that one day.
Yeah. It's totally different.
Maybe that's the one we'll do the Mystery Science Theater episode instead of the regular episode.
Yeah.
Because they don't do a lot of those. They did Gorgo, I think.
Yeah, they did.
I think that's where I first saw some of it. So yeah, Godzilla with its hard 80s edge.
And like we said earlier, they brought it back after 10 years. They totally disregard all the ones from the 60s and 70s.
You have to
make it serious.
Well, apparently this was the first one that didn't have a fight, like a monster fight.
Besides the original.
Since the first one. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of like they're wanting to redo that one. There were trains in it. There were power lines in it. That type of stuff.
It's basically just him versus humanity at that point.
Yeah.
In which they built another series off of this movie.
Did they?
That lasted 10 years.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to 2000 because I actually saw that in the theater.
Yeah. I wanted to, but I didn't get to. I saw it when it came out on tape a few months later.
As far as I knew, that was the only one.
Yeah.
That and the Roland Emmerich one.
Well, that 2000 was a direct response to the 98 one.
Certainly.
But we'll get into that when we review those. Well, we already reviewed 98.
And what a fun time it was.
Oh, God.
Well, maybe if we do this long enough, we'll have to revisit it.
Yeah.
On Blu-ray, 3D.
See how bad it looks in Blu-ray.
Well, apparently it was supposed to look better.
Yeah.
Of course it was supposed to look better.
It's always supposed to.
Right. So we talked about the sea louses.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about all the blood.
Tone.
The tone, yeah. There's some pretty average stuff in it. There's the love interest that they meet by chance.
Yeah.
That type of thing. You see that in these. And you just have to expect it. There's the old man that's like, nope, you young people are fucking up. And it's like, well, of course you know that. You're older. We have to get older to know how badly we're fucking up. And we do.
Now they know.
The cycle continues.
Yeah.
What else you got for Godzilla 1985?
It's just, it holds up very well, I think, because it's, like I said, it's serious. It's not, I can watch it and not feel like it's campy at all,
right.
You know what I mean? Which, there aren't any other monsters he's facing. It's not, there's no Megalon that he's, drop kicking or anything like that.
Right. It's quaintly dated, obviously, by its name.
Yeah.
Like, they just put the year right in the title. But it's crazy, like, to look at these films and the history that they're still making them.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, so you were talking about, like, they hadn't made one for 10 years. And look at the time now. There was 98, and then there was 2000.
And they had a series after that.
But, I mean, here in the States, what did we have? There was, like, nothing.
Well, in Japan, they had the last one, Final Wars, was
right.
2004, and they didn't make another one until, 2014.
Right.
So, the cycle is kind of like, they'll do a series for like 5 to 10 years, then let it rest for a decade.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to, watching the direct sequel to this one, too, Biollante.
Yeah, that one's pretty brutal, right?
Yeah.
That stands out. That is one.
That one and this one are the only two from the 80s.
Yeah? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
All right. I dig it.
It's kind of a lean year for Godzilla films, or a lean decade for Godzilla films.
Well, that's what we're saying. Like, there's an ebb and flow. They come back and they go. Right now, we're living in a time where they're making them.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for this new American one that's coming out this year now, right?
Oh, well, next year.
Oh, 2019?
Yeah, springtime.
I accidentally saw the trailer. I was trying to avoid it, but I have seen the new King of the Monsters trailer.
In which, it looks
Just
promising.
like the
but
last time.
I said the same thing the last
Just
time.
like the last time. It looks great.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, are they showing all the good stuff in it?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, actually, some of this is from part 2 that we're still working on.
So, we have the MonsterVerse coming out from Legendary.
Yeah.
I think they're not going to do a sequel to Shin. And that's going to be its own thing. But Japan and Toho, they're going to do another series. So they're going to reboot it again. So that's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with that.
Right.
And then we had this anime trilogy.
Yes, we sure do.
So, the first 2, they are what they are. But hopefully the third one will, bring it all together.
They're plays.
Yeah.
They're CGI plays.
As far as this one goes, I think if you take all the Godzilla films, it's definitely a cornerstone. I would say.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I mean, it certainly is going to stand out.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy to look at all these in context one day and just take it all in and be like, holy shit, people did this.
Yeah.
People paid money to see this. It happened.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
What a concept.
Right. I dig it. Well, I think that's going to take us to the end of Godzilla 1985 here today.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thank you, Nick, for joining me.
Thank you, man,
For the excellent suggestion this time around. It's good times.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see y'all next time. Take care.